But yeah, how fast can we get a garden up to feed a
You,
family? They're going from
you,
into we need food, and then that there's going to be some lag time between the realization and then the movement until you get that outcome at the end there.
yeah, totally. Bill Mollison once said that with the right techniques, you could spend 30 minutes planting and then in the future have food for 6 months. So it's a matter of just starting by planting seeds. Even if you just do 5 pots and you get some seeds in there, start letting the plants be your teachers. Right? They'll teach you because you can observe them and you can see if they need help. Maybe you're underwatering or overwatering, right? And just, I used to build all these hydroponics and aquaponics systems. I still like them, but I don't build them anymore. Now I focus on building soil. The money, the return on investment by building soil, I have found to be the number one return on investment.
Check this out. Many people today struggle to manage their weight, but this is more true than ever after the age of 20, because after the age of 20, our body's metabolism slows down by as much as 4% every decade. By the time we're 50, we've experienced a 10% drop or more in our metabolism. That's a risk to health. That's why I highly recommend adaptwithketo.com. This product works by increasing the ketone levels inside your body, which in turn support boosted metabolism. A scoop a day, I saw improvements for my energy levels while working on the farm. And the best part is I never had to cut out carbs or make other changes to my diet. And if you've been looking for a great way to support your weight management goals, you're going to love adaptwithketo.com. And for the next 24 hours, take 51% off your order, adaptwithketo.com, or click on the link in the description box below. And now on with the video. Hey, and good afternoon, everyone. Today I have with me Jim Gayle, foodforestabundance.com. Now, we've been talking about solutions on the channel here for a long time because the problems inbound are gigantic and something that our society has never encountered or seen before. This is even beyond a fourth turning into what I believe is a multi-millennia turning. And we talked about that before. But what are the solutions here? You're going to need to turn your lawn into a sustainable food forest, or at least start gardens at the periphery of your home, herb gardens, thinking edible landscapes. This is the kind of solutions that we're all going to need to implement incredibly fast this summer at the latest, I really believe, and governments will come on and start to tell you drip feed that you'll need to grow your own food. So for myself and everybody out there, this is going to be a great one. So Jim, thanks for joining, and the floor is yours.
Oh, I just had a thought. My partner, Michael Hoffman, who lives off grid in Montana, just did a show on the Corbett Report about eating pine trees. He would love to chat with you and be on the show. He's a phenomenal human being that really understands things about off-grid and preparedness in very detailed ways.
Yeah, because how many people are ready to go to get cambium like that? As I was coming through your page there, I saw that and I was going to click into it and watch a little bit later, because the cambium, it's usually a survival food of last resort to try to get in on the barks of trees. But I mean, are we going into a cambium world? Oh no, I'd rather sit where I could go pick something easily around where I live.
No doubt about it. No doubt. Yes. As a last resort, we'll eat what we'll eat, right?
At that point, if it does come to last resort, people are just going to start eating all these plants and they could be poisonous, and they just won't know. They'll just eat anything because they're hungry. And it looks soft, I'll eat it. Well, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Not everything that's out there is edible, but a lot of it is too. A lot of it is too. Yeah. So we have some crazy challenges heading our way.
We do. We also have some opportunities, and that's what I love to leave people with, is this idea that there is a path forward, and it's a beautiful path. It's not just this Mad Max thing. Everything that came out of Hollywood is about programming the mind at some level, right? So forget Mad Max. Let's think the Garden of Eden. Let's think utopia, not utopia or dystopia, because they've messed with our words. Both utopia and dystopia don't mean topia. Topia simply means top. right? So let's forget all, reprogram our own minds according to our own desires that align with regeneration and love. In fact, one of my favorite foundational principles is the Nash equilibrium. John Nash won the Nobel Prize, and there was a movie called A Beautiful Mind made about this fellow. And previous to him, Adam Smith was the father of economic theory, and his theory was if everybody in a system does what's best for them, that's the strongest economy. Nash added one simple thing: if you do what's best for yourself and others, then that will actually be even better for you. And that mathematical equation was in Hollywood, they made him out to be a schizophrenic. The whole movie was about schizophrenia, not about the incredible nature of his theory that won the Nobel Prize.
Let me ask you a question here. The speed from zero to feeding a family, putting out a food forest or building a lawn or garden, something like this, what's your estimation really if somebody's going from zero and they need to feed their families to get food production up in the best of conditions and in the worst of conditions, those two parameters there?
So my mom grew up on a farm in southern Minnesota where it was really cold. She had no electricity, no running water until she was 15 years old. Every spring, they would plant their garden. Every fall and throughout the summer, they'd harvest their garden and then they'd store what was excess. And they had enough food all winter long that came out of their own garden every single year. They also had chickens and they also had cows. So you can do a lot in a springtime if you put seeds in the ground. And then nowadays with grow lights and with all those other things, you can do like you do with the moringa trees. You can bring some inside during winter and, be aware that we might have an electrical grid failure as well in the winter. So that's another thing to consider for heating your house.
Small greenhouse, maybe on the side of the house. But yeah, how fast can we get a garden up to feed a family? They're going from into we need food, and then there's going to be some lag time between the realization and then the movement until you get that outcome at the end there.
Yeah, totally. Bill Mollison once said that with the right techniques, you could spend 30 minutes planting and then in the future have food for 6 months. So it's a matter of just starting by planting seeds. Even if you just do 5 pots and you get some seeds in there, start letting the plants be your teachers. Right? They'll teach you because you can observe them and you can see if they need help. Maybe you're underwatering or overwatering, right? And just observe nature and let nature be our guides. And then we're all set.
So you mentioned that the website there, and you might have some resources for people to look at. Are those educational resources that you were talking to? Is that on the site along with, what's happening with the projects that you have ongoing right now?
Yes. Everything we do is transparent. Our business model is about inspiring the most possible people to grow food. So if you want to just do your own research and do this all by yourself, you can literally take $20. You can go to the store and buy the food you'd normally buy and make sure it's GMO and it actually has seeds. You can buy cucumbers and tomatoes and whatever you like. And you could then learn how to propagate those seeds. And you can actually start your own garden with no extra money out of pocket. Or you could go to our website and you could purchase a food forest landscape design. And then one of our professionals will work with you to create the design for your space that you want that will produce. It starts with your agricultural zone. And then the next most important is, what is your goal? What is your desire for your own yard? And then it goes into pictures and videos of your space. And then with all that information, they'll create a professional design that will blow your mind. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, because I'm thinking efficiencies and straw bale gardening. I wanted to touch on this just for a second. I'm going to try it the first time this year because I've never done it before. I've read a lot about it. Don't know if it's going to work. So I got a timer so I can automate it because, anything automated obviously is going to have a better yield because there might be that day you miss it. You got it at the wrong time. You couldn't water it, whatever. But, adding a little bit of automation into it to, get those yields a little more dialed in. So I'm curious, have you ever done anything or know anything about the straw bale gardening technique?
I have seen a lot of videos, especially with potatoes.
Yeah, me too. I'm seeing it, but just
I've never done it. Yeah.
Okay.
But it looks awesome. I love any different type. There's always a functionality of a particular thing depending on the context of the situation. I used to build all these hydroponics and aquaponics systems. I still like them, but I don't build them anymore. Now I focus on building soil. The return on investment by building soil, I have found to be the number one return on investment.
So what'd you find with the aquaculture then? It's too mechanically complex where things might be breaking down or the yields weren't coming out. And I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to that. Anything aquaponics, aquaculture, whatever it would be, there's a lot of moving parts to keep everything alive in that system.
Right. So I built one aquaponics system in Costa Rica where I had a flow through. I had a spring up in the top and then water tap for the community. And then I built a strategically located tilapia pond. And then I used that tilapia pond water to fertigate the gardens, which were below. And then the excess water just went right back into the stream. Those systems are phenomenal. I think the Hanging Gardens of Babylon were built on a flow through aquaponics system. But when it comes to moving parts and machinery, I try to stay away from that as much as possible.
Speaking of a flow through system, now those of you who like history, if you go back to the Kalahari canals, which was channeled off the Okavango Delta each year. Now, there's a lot of conjecture and, mainstream science would say, no, those weren't canals. They couldn't have been built 20,000 years ago. There was not enough people in Africa that could have organized that. Or there's a missing chapter of history, which it could be because when you see the floods come in to the Okavango, the water runs down those channels until it all the way fills up. And they've rediverted, like you said, they've rediverted part of the Okavango Delta to feed those canals. And it's in the Kalahari Desert, and it's called the Kalahari Canals. And it's right up at the border of Namibia. Lost chapter of history, but something was flowed through there as well that was irrigating. Yeah. And it even has, steeped, and each one is 75 feet apart and it's steeped up where you would grow your crops up there. And just, I don't know, looking at history, how much has been told or not, but I really believe there's a lot more solutions with frequency and vibration and, tech, yes, but we probably just have to go back to the basics, soil and plants versus trying to get too high tech with vibration. And
yeah, soil's where it's at. And that's what our Topia is based on. It's based on building soil per acre and the caloric value of the potential of the soil. Soil's where it's at because soil is earth, like build the earth, help the earth. And really all we have to do is just take out the poisons. That's the thing. Take out the poisons and start. And if you want to speed up time, you add mulch and you add layers and you add different plant combinations that love each other.
So, overproducing food is going to be a thing too, because if you can't store it or process it quickly enough, you're going to want to trade it off for something else. Now, Topia that you mentioned, is there a white paper out there, a site up so people can see how the mechanisms, and is there a trading platform within it so people match, producer and buyer could match themselves in a local region there using these same tokens?
The white paper is done and we're putting it to market probably on the 4th of July. And
on the 4th, you're waiting, everybody wait, you gotta wait.
I know. Our platform will be Cordal. Cordal.
Oh, I know Cordal.
You do? Yeah. So we're putting Topia on a Cordal wallet. So it's completely decentralized. And then every customer will have a Cordal node so we can create a decentralized internet mesh network. And it's going to go really fast. We just invested and it's really exciting to see the potential of this. It's going to take some years to get this mesh network to make the other network irrelevant, but we need to do it. So we're going forward full speed.
Yeah, because I know a couple other guys, Mike and Bear, that are out west that are involved with Cordal as well.
I love those guys. I was on their show not too long ago, Alpha Vedic, just amazing people.
Yeah, because we've done a couple of interviews way back in the day, and I learned a lot from them too, especially about keeping your frequency in check during these times as, because there's going to be a lot of scared and unknowns moving through. And the fear of really being afraid, it's not being afraid of being the news, but really at the point where things are so high priced that you actually get that fear where you're paralyzed by it. Well, your vibration starts to go out of sync at that point. And to bring it back in, Bear's always talking about, well, the way it's possible that people even, came through some of these famines by raising their vibration where they didn't need to actually intake as much food. And this is where some of the biblical references and myths and legends of others across different societies would come in, where those that were taking their vibration to a higher level didn't need that actual physical sustenance come in. And if you go through the, different cycles of the Vedas, we're at that high point in the Golden Yuga area. You literally don't need food, but it was all about at these tipping points where we're at now with, energy changes sweeping through our solar system. Could we tap into that? And could some people have that innate ability to come back as a survival mechanism? And he goes deep into these types of, topics there, right along with Mike.
I love that stuff. That's where I'm really, a lot of my energy is going towards just understanding the potential. And then as I learn it, then I share it. And it's a lot of fun. It's a good, fun process.
Yeah, there's a lot of cycles repeating here. And, and I'm going to stay a little woo-woo for a second, because as we go back through, and whether you believe it's a myth or it was a legend or it was just a story made up in fanciful times because they weren't technologically savvy like we are today, those cavemen. Well, some of these stories of old were taking energies that we have been programmed out of using, but the stories remained of how it would help a society move through, or people being able to use that ability to survive through times, or, take their society and civilization to another level in terms of cooperation or just living itself. And then suddenly, whoosh, they disappear. Right. Now, where's that disappearance gone? Did they literally vibrate out of this plane, which brings us back into, can you change your vibratory state during these? Because there's definitely going to be a shift. I think the heaviness and that darkness is going to be so dense. I mean, literally like a piece of iron, and anybody that's vibrating faster than a piece of iron is literally going to step out of that soup into the reality around them is going to shift greatly if you can stay out of that fear, if you can stay out of that heavy soup of iron. And maybe that's a little off the tangent there, but
no, it's all so interesting. My mind is so open now because I have no more, or at least less governmenting than I did last week and last year and 10 years ago. So now it's so much more open to taking in this information and then discerning, does that fit into my thing? But everything we've been taught for so long is so wrong, right? So it's like the whole thing we have to just relearn, unlearn and relearn.
And even if the solutions there, again, you mentioned that 40%, how many people would choose to not survive through it compared to turning on that ability or turning on that energy field or whatever you term it as? It's been quantified through history, different names through different times. They would choose to check out versus turning it on because they just don't believe it can be turned on, even though the person next to them and that person next to them both activated. And then suddenly they're like, no, I just still can't do it. I don't believe it. Even though those two people next to me, there's going to be a percentage of that. There will be.
Oh, there already is, right? I mean, we see it every day when we're talking to our friends, the people we love and care about, who just will not see it. And I'm trying all these I'm always trying new ways to get in there and to open up their minds, right? And sometimes it works. I never quit. And some of them think I'm crazy and some don't even want to talk to me anymore. Some good friends like, Jim, I don't really want to talk to you because I challenge their foundational belief systems of how this world operates. And it doesn't feel comfortable for them. So they would just rather not talk to me. Okay, I'll keep trying though, because I love them.
Yeah, they'll come around. And, in the beginning, when I started my channel back in 2014, people, again, they're like, this, you're out there in left field by yourself, my man. And then suddenly I got the same people calling me back going, you remember when you told me this? Can you tell me a little more? It's like, you get these strange messages starting to drip in now of people that, like you're talking about, have disconnected or said, can't listen to it. You're too negative. You're too this, you're too that. Now suddenly they're swinging back when they're starting to see that you're going to be the hope for their survival, especially being able to put out edible food forests and edible landscapes and that sort of thing at the periphery of their homes. That's going to be a valuable one right there for sure.
Yes. This business, the Food Forest Cooperative, we're a co-op. And it's so much fun because everybody who comes aboard adds their bit of understanding and knowledge and ideas and techniques. And there's so much out there. that let's come together for one. I don't really feel good about the idea of like-minded. Right? I don't want to be with people that are like-minded. I want to be with people that are diverse-minded with one common mindset, and that's freedom. Right? I do not do business with people who advocate for force and violence and enslavement. Everybody else, come on and let's talk. If you're about, the voluntarism and voluntary exchange of value, then let's play.
It's going to have to go that way. The entire way we've been brought up and structured of it's mine, it's my house, get off my land, or, that's my job. You interfered with my job. I didn't get the raise. These whole things of mine is definitely going to start to shift, because being a fan of history, I like to read about how people were able to make it through the Great Depression. And those of you out there who think you're going to go hunting for deer out during this next massive depression that we're coming into, the forest was hunted out in the 1930s during the Depression, where it cost them more resources to go in to get the deer because they were so far back in there because they ran that it wasn't worth it to go in and go hunting anymore. That was in the 1930s. Now put that in your mind. And what I started to know is that families really started to come together and help each other.
Yeah.
Those that had more on the city block would give to those who had less, or they knew it was a hungry family. Like, things would just appear on the doorsteps of people helping. But then it started to, morph into something on its own, where it was a community helping. So if somebody needed help with, like, you have some woodworking there, and a lot of people don't know woodworking. And then it was like, oh, I'll help you over there build this. And just like the Amish similarly do today, they help each other with all the skills that are needed. And that's really what it will be about, is even if you don't know how to can your food, somebody in your community would. But if you had another skill to offer and trade and barter of time, and I heard something called a time bank one time, where you're a doctor or you're a dentist, you can trade your 1 hour because it's just time, compared to somebody who did woodworking or watch repair. It's just 1 hour. So everybody did their thing. So you repaired a watch, you went in and got a free dental cleaning or whatever it was for 1 hour. And I think we're going to be, now that's technological today, where you can, itemize that and do that swap. But, back in the 1930s, it was all about community helping each other when anybody needed help. Yeah. Is that really too out there, or do you think society is going to move that way, or,
I think that this idea of the Nash equilibrium, when people do what's best for themselves and others, I think it's just going to be natural and very much just common to serve, because at the end of the day, the more we give, especially when we give wisely, the more we receive. And then the more we receive, like, I don't want to be a freaking guy with billions of dollars in a bank account. That represents scarcity to me. Like, why would I do that when that billions of dollars could literally change the world? In fact, Elon Musk and this guy from the UN were having a debate online. It was probably a big scam, but they were talking about if the guy said, if Elon gave up 2% of his wealth, we could end world hunger. Well, Elon said, okay, you show me how and I'll do it. Now, I don't trust Elon one bit. I think he's part of the system. But the point is, I did a video that got seen by like 20 or 30,000 people. I said, Elon, for $6 billion, which is 2% of his net worth, here's the exact strategy to end world hunger. We put $1 million food forests with educational systems in 6,000 of the world's biggest cities, and we end world hunger in 3 years.
But you end the system that controls that delivery of food as well, because autonomy, then that's the first. Oh, we can do that. Well, what else can we become autonomous from as well? Then they start making a checklist. Here we go.
Yeah.
Fuel next. See you later. Electricity. Hey, Tesla. Yeah. And it can go on and on.
On and on. This solves the plastic issue in the oceans. This solves the transportation issue. All of the issues, even the bullshit issues that they're talking about, this solves them, even though they're not really issues. Literally, when we grow food instead of lawns, we solve all of it.
Now, if you're just catching us in the last few minutes or so, here with Jim Gayle, foodforestabundance.com. You want to jump over to the site, check out what they're working on, and the blueprints for the food forest sound really good, because you're integrating now where people are sort of self-sufficient. If they're at that point where they want to get the blueprints, obviously they know how to grow some food and they're willing to try to put it out themselves. And you know, again, a shout out to Alpha Vedic over there with Mike Winter and Bear Lando, because everybody's doing their part. Joel Salatin as well. You know, I learned from all these people myself to try to implement, because I do have some experience of it, so I can try to things. If it fails, great, I learned something from it. But Jim, I appreciate you coming on. Any last words to push us out of here? Please tell us how people can get a hold of you, and you know, if they really want to take steps forward, you know, what's the next step for them?
It's cool. Well, thank you, my friend, first for having me on the show to expose this message to more people. And if you want to email me directly, it's jim@foodforestabundance.com. You can check out our website, foodforestabundance.com. And we have an abundance ambassador program. We went in 90 days, we went from 0 to 500. We've got one of the fastest growing cooperatives in the world right now, and it's all about inspiring and empowering people to grow food. So if you want to be a part of this, it's a lot of fun, and I invite you to join us.
All right. So I would challenge everybody out there today. Weekend's coming. Put something in the ground. Plant something this weekend. That would be my challenge, is at least visit a store, buy some seeds, and do something growing your own food by the end of this week.
Awesome.
Thanks for watching. Bye for now.